the algorithms are designed to increase engagement in the internet, not with our adult children. Welcome back to the When Our Adult Children Walk Away podcast, dedicated to one of the most painful and one of the least talked about experiences a family can go through, estrangement. Whether you're new to us or a returning listener, please keep in mind that we are a no blame, no shame, no judgment community. I'm Dr. Janet Steinkamp, and today we're tackling something I've been wanting to address for a long time, social media, and the role that it's playing in estrangement. So right up front, I just want to say that current research does not support the claim that social media directly causes family estrangement. There's no proven correlation. However, research does suggest, and this is important, that social media platforms may be amplifying and intentionally intensifying relational pain that already exists in vulnerable family systems. So if you've ever wondered why estrangement can feel so permanent, so absolute, or why your adult child seems to be entrenched increasingly as time passes, today's conversation may help bring some of that into focus for you. So we're going to look at how algorithm-driven content, things like echo chambers and emotionally charged online communities, are shaping the estrangement experience for adult children and for parents. The concern is not that social media creates estrangement, but that it may intensify and solidify the relational fractures that already exist. Social media platforms are designed to maximize engagement, right? We know the more clicks, the happier social media is, meaning that the algorithms tend to show users content that aligns with the existing interests, emotions, and beliefs. This process, known as amplification, increases the visibility, repetition, the emotional intensity, and perceived credibility of particular messages and narratives. So, for example, if an adult child repeatedly watches videos about toxic parents or family cutoff, going no contact, the platform is likely to recommend increasingly similar content. So the more videos you watch, the longer you watch, the more videos are going to be recommended. This is similar for parents. This is no different for us. If we consume content focused on parental victimization, we're likely to get more messaging reinforcing and supporting the victim mentality. Now, over time, users may encounter fewer alternative perspectives and more reinforcement of their existing beliefs. That means there will be fewer and fewer opportunities to select differently. And because this all comes in so fast and consistently, we begin to believe that it is the main voice of conversation right now, when in fact it's what's being pushed at us. So research suggests that social media may contribute to estrangement dynamics through several specific mechanisms. Echo chambers, what does that mean, right? An echo chamber. Well, the algorithm or the systems that determine what we see often expose us to information that confirms what they already believe and what they think we believe. Repeated exposure to one-sided content can strengthen confirmation bias and reduce openness to alternative viewpoints. So we begin to become more funnel visioned. Emotional amplification. What is that? Social media platforms tend to reward emotionally charged content. The more excitement they get, the more rhetoric there is, the more response, clicks, shares, the more it's going to generate similar content to generate similar engagement. Content that evokes outrage, fear, empowerment, or moral certainty often spreads faster than nuanced discussions about complex family relationships. This is not new. We know this. Bad news travels faster than good news, right? We've known that for a long time. So online communities can provide validation and support for people experiencing family conflict. And while this support might be beneficial, repeated reinforcement of a single narrative, again, that single voice, can strengthen identification with that perspective and make competing viewpoints, again, more difficult to consider. Actually, even more difficult to find. And why does this matter? Why are we talking about this today? Family estrangement is rarely simple. I like the term. It's like unbraiding Jell-O. Most family relationships contain multiple perspectives, competing memories, and complex emotional histories. We tend to remember things differently over time, and we hear often from our adult children that they remember things very differently. Yet, social media often favors simplified narratives that clearly identify victims and offenders, right or wrong, healthy or unhealthy. This can make complicated family dynamics appear more absolute than they actually are, more static, more similar, unable to adjust or change. Researchers have expressed concern that these digital environments may encourage certainty and polarization while discouraging curiosity, nuance, relational complexity. We hear about that polarization across the news channels, across all media, right? The last thing we need in an estrangement circumstance is polarization. We need to bring people together. We want to bring people to the middle. So these influences are not limited to one side of the relationship. As I said, adult children may encounter content that validates distancing or frames cutoff as empowerment. Parents may also encounter content that reinforces our feelings, perhaps victimization. It may encourage defensive interpretations of our adult children's behavior instead of an open mind. In both cases, for parents and adult children, repeated exposure to one-sided narratives can make it more difficult to understand the other person's perspective. The most important takeaway from this conversation is that the algorithms are designed to increase engagement in the internet, not with our adult children. They are not suggesting that we necessarily work to understanding our adult children. They want us engaged in the internet, in the conversation. When family members rely heavily on the internet content to interpret our relational difficulties, we may unknowingly consume information that reinforces division rather than encourages reflection, empathy, and repair. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? If we clicked intentionally on peaceful re-engagement, trust, respect, how to re-engage, if the algorithms wouldn't start feeding us that information. That would be an interesting experiment. I hope today's conversation gave you some clarity and maybe a little relief, because understanding why our dynamics feel so stuck is the first step toward getting unstuck. We first need to understand what's going on. We don't want social media to have the final word in our relationship, right? We want to be the ones that decide, along with our adult children, what happens in our relationship, how we process our difficulties, come back into alignment with our communication, and begin to rebuild trust. The research is clear. Social media doesn't create estrangement, but it can make our existing fractures feel more absolute, more justified, harder to resolve. The algorithms reward outrage and certainty. They don't reward complexity, nuance, or reconciliation. That's not a reason to lose hope. It's not a reason to give up. It is a reason to be intentional about what you consume on the internet and where you seek support. If today's episode was helpful, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. You never know who in your life is quietly carrying this same experience and burden. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our brand new YouTube channel at Dr. Janet Steinkamp and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you never miss an episode. If you'd like more personal support, please email me to set up one-on-one coaching. To talk about this topic further, I'd love to have you join my daughter Bree and me for our virtual office hours. You can register on the When Our Adult Children Walk Away website. Just click on the tab that says Virtual Office Hours and you can register there. And remember, you don't have to navigate your estrangement circumstances alone. Thank you for being here. Take good care, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to When Our Adult Children Walk Away, presented by Dr. Janet Steinkamp in partnership with Balancing Life's Issues and produced by me, Kai. Want to connect with Dr. Janet? You can find resources, connect with her directly, and learn more about the work we do at whenouradultchildrenwalkaway.com. And be sure to follow and subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts, including YouTube. Anything else to add, Miles?
Yeah.